Thank you for joining. This is Arizona ASHI. This will be our class on plastic plumbing, everything from PEX to ABS to CPVC and everything in between. The date today is 10/5/2021, and here we go. Okay. Okay, ABS, the acronym which no one uses. This is why. Acrylon butane styrene, butadiene styrene. I like ABS just as well.
I thought ABS was all black stuff.
It is. It's what we.
Okay.
This is what it is right here. This is the actual name of it. That's black in color.
Okay.
Okay. Some of you are using the word accessible. I'm putting the references here in the plumbing code and also legally capable of being easily reached. In a plumbing code, accessible usually means having access there even though removal of an access panel or door may be necessary. So when we're talking about you have to access certain areas to inspect them per the SOP, if it's got a door on it with like a little round handle, you should turn that and open it up. Okay, so there you go. Okay, I thought this was sort of cool. Acre foot. I never knew what this was. Acre foot of water. It's the volume that would cover 1 acre to a depth of 1 foot. So the next time you're somewhere and someone's talking trivia with you, you can bring this one up for no other reason than say, booyah. Okay, adapter fitting. So one of the things about plastic is when I change from one type to another, I must have an adapter that's approved. So one of various fittings designed to mate or fit to each other. 2 types of pipes or fittings which are different in design so that connecting the 2 together would otherwise not be possible. A fitting that serves to connect 2 different tubes or pipes to each other, such as copper tube to iron pipe, etc. Okay, so we'll take a look at some of those. Aerator fitting. Harris, I like to hear you say aerator. What's that mean?
Aerator. It puts air, mixes air in with the water.
Okay, so one of the things that all fixtures are required to have now is a certain amount of flow in regards to the flow out of the fixture must go down the drain. So when we're checking for, I'm not sure what the standards of practice say. Does it say adequate flow or sufficient? What's the wording that they ask for there? Does anybody know?
Functional flow.
Thank you. It's functional flow, and that's the eye in the beholder. But any water that comes out of the faucet must leave the drain at the same time. So when a tub is filling up with water or the shower pan fills up around their feet, that's not correct. It's not functional. So by aerating it, you have the feeling that there's more water flow. So they're cutting down the flow. So that's what that's for. Air admittance valve. Okay. Well, look at that. Spell check.
Dishwashers.
I spell check. A device installed on a plumbing drain waste or waste system. Look at that. A waste around your belt. To allow air to enter the drainage pipe system, thereby relieving negative pressure in the system. So Studer valve. Studer valve is the other name.
That's a brand name, is it not?
Yeah, it's a brand. So it's called an air admittance valve. So we don't use any brand names. Air brake. So one of the things that's required when you're hooking up plumbing and sewers to prevent a cross connection, which is something we have to write up, it's a physical separation, which may be a low inlet into an indirect waste receptor from the fixture, appliance, or device, wherever it might be. The air chamber is a vertical expanded pipe with its upper end sealed and its lower end connected to a pressurized liquid system to absorb the shock. They're talking about hooked to the water system, but this is the definition written by plumbers. Thank God they're not electricians, otherwise this would go on for like a couple pages. So it prevents water hammer. Okay, here's another definition of the air gap requirement, and there is a code requirement for this. It's the dimension of the size of the pipe is the amount I need. So if it's a 3/4 pipe, the minimum is 1 inch. It's unobstructed vertical distance through the free atmosphere between the lowest opening of any pipe supplying water. So The flood rim is the edge of any sink, drain, or receptacle where water would be exiting. That's any fixture. Angle stops. That's the valve behind the toilet under the sink, and they're called an angle stop because it's a 90-degree valve. Okay, anti-siphon vacuum breaker. Are we reported to report on these through the SOPs? Yep.
Yes.
Okay, so we have a couple different types. We have a non-pressure and pressure type. Okay, so the pressure type is a device means to prevent back siphonage, designed to be used under continuous pressure. Okay, those are the ones that are required on all commercial properties. Okay, this new requirement has been around for quite a while. Everyone acts like they never heard of it, but anti-scald valves are required in all showers. Okay, and the weirdest thing is if you don't have the hot water on, water won't flow out of the faucet because it's made to be anti-scald. It has to have water flow on both sides. So a pressure balancing valve, which senses incoming hot and cold water pressure and compensates for fluctuations to stabilize the outlet temperature. Has anyone ever tried one of these to see if it works?
No.
Well, if you have a new faucet, that's how you're taking a shower. So almost all of these today are this way. Okay. Item number 3, a combination thermostatic pressure balance valve, which senses the outlet temperature of hot and cold. The on-demand water heaters are similar to this almost, because as water comes in, it slows the water down enough to heat the water up through the manifold. Everyone's discussing who needs to do the work, a qualified or skilled or something like that. So an apprentice plumber, the definition, this is an apprentice. Now, this is someone who stands around and watches the plumber do the work. This is a definition on their own. One who works under the supervision and guidance of a skilled and qualified journey or master plumber for a prescribed course of training, to be determined. Harris, how many years would that be?
5.5 years for electricians. For plumbers, probably 4.
Yeah, and this is they let them put one switch in the wall for 5 years, and then suddenly Grasshopper is able to put an outlet in the wall, and then after that they say we're going to let you move on to putting wire in. Okay, asbestos. The reason I put this here is that everyone seems to be writing this up when we're ventilating a water heater, or we're talking about the water supply in the ground where we're attached to it. So it's a silicate of calcium and magnesium, I didn't know that, occurring in fibers. This does not burn or conduct heat. It's used as an insulator in the manufacturing of cement of asbestos pipe. This is the most common water line in the country, and it's used everywhere. Okay, black pipe shall not be used for water supply. It's an uncoated or black painted pipe, and sometimes steel, which has no coating, is called black pipe because the color of its oxide scale, which forms on steel when it's worked. This black pipe is used for gas lines, everybody. Okay, bituminous fiber. This has another name. I thought I'd put this up here and see who's from New Jersey.
Orangeburg.
Thank you. Okay, so this is Orangeburg. And some people who write this up are scared of using a brand name, which Orangeburg is, but then you're going to have to stop using the word Kleenex. But it's an interwoven structure of threads of cellulose material. Let's call that sawdust, everyone. Oh, here we go. Look up here, David. He's got Orangeburg pipe picture. And this pipe was used when we were running out of iron, steel. But
It's also used in electrical installations too.
It was used everywhere. The stuff was everywhere. It's crazy stuff. Okay, cast iron. Cast iron is a type of sewer pipe. It was used everywhere. It's a commercial alloy of iron, carbon, and silicone cast in a mold. It's hard, it's brittle, it's non-malleable, so I can take a hammer and punch a hole in it. And then the hammer weld it together. The problem with this product, it only lasts 100 years as a sewer. I left some spelling out there. Okay, dielectric unions. In our plumbing, when we're putting dielectric unions in, Harris, you can speak to this. Why does it have the word electric in it?
Well, dielectric because you have a exchange between different molecules of the different types of pipe, meaning copper and galvanized pipe interact with each other. And so it creates a current between the two, a very small current, but it has an interaction, and that creates everything to corrode.
Okay, is that like in millivolts or even smaller?
Oh, it is millivolts, however, but it's undetectable almost. Unless you have a very strong meter. But yes, it does produce electricity.
Okay, escutcheon plate. This is sort of important. It's a flange used on the pipe or opening in a floor wall through which the pipe passes. This is the same thing that's around the faucet and the handles in the shower and in the tub. So this is the spelling of it, just I'll let you know. Okay, here we go. PEX. PEX is the most common pipe on the planet right now, and it stands for cross-linked polyethylene. Now, the reason I wanted you to see how the spelling is because there's another type of plastic pipe that's not polyethylene that's rated higher for hot water, for heat. So what is PEX tubing? Now, PEX is the generic name. There's 5 or 6 different manufacturers, but it's a cross-linked polyethylene for extra strength and suited for hot and cold drinking water. It typically comes in larger diameters from 1/2 inch to 1.5 inches. The size is based on the inner diameter, the ID of the tubing. Okay. Also called the nominal or the CTS, copper tube size. So this product was used so I can connect to copper with special fittings called a transition fitting. So anytime I'm making connection, I have to use the approved transition fitting. Many builders use PEX tubing for household plumbing. Now this statement actually comes from the PEX Association. I thought, well, of course they use it. Yeah. Down here, PEX is manufactured without an oxygen barrier. It may be used in radiant heat applications where there are no ferrous metal iron components. Huh? What does an oxygen barrier have anything to do with anything? Harris, you want to answer that one?
Well, oxygen barrier, I don't know, it doesn't react with the air, that's all.
Thank you.
The carcinogens in the air.
Yeah. Why does a balloon that has a gas in it go up in the air and then falls down after something occurs because of the plastic?
First of all, it's lighter than air. And then secondly, the pressure causes it to shrink and go down.
Right. So the oxygen barrier here, I mean, there's no place for the oxygen transfer through the pipe. So the pipe is pretty, has a barrier in it in regards to allowing any water to leak out. And it's a great product to be heated. Okay. Okay. PEX pipe temperature information. So this is one where everyone's wanting to know, can I use this for whatever? So its strength at temperature ranging from freezing up to 180 degrees. That's its rating, everybody, 180. It says that because that's what's stamped on it. Okay, it's used for hydronic radiant heating systems, snow melting applications, highly resistant to chemicals. It's embedded in concrete all the time back east as a driveway heating stuff. Okay, so PEX is designed for indoor and buried applications only. What does that mean? No sunlight. That's what it means. Okay, PEX tubing should not be exposed to direct sunlight for an extended period of time. Now, everyone sort of whines when we say direct sunlight. What does that mean? Well, that means in the sun. And then we'll talk about that later. So PVC is another type of pipe, polyvinyl chloride, PVC. Again, if you look at this pipe, the ID size and the OD size, depending on what type of pipe you have, PEX, CPVC, and copper are all the same size, but CPVC or PVC has a different diameter, so I have to use a transition fitting. So they're a little bit different. So the ID of one is not the same as the other, so you can't do a direct connection. You'll know because you just won't glue on. Okay, PVC requires a primer. Clear primer was typically used. Now purple, because we have to have a primer, but you don't know if they really primed it until it comes apart later. Okay, PEX doesn't need a primer. CPVC does not need a primer. And copper, basically it needs a solder. And then it, okay, PVC piping is recognized as acceptable for DWV, drain, waste, and vents, sewers, and potable water. In other words, anything we drink, and distribution in all model plumbing codes. It is not approved ever for hot water. Okay. Use purple primer. Okay. Is there anything in the code that's everyone familiar with that says purple primer or primer at all in the plumbing code? There's nothing in there. What it says is that you have to follow the manufacturer's installation requirements. So pipes that are glued without primer eventually will leak because there's nothing there to condition the pipe. So when primer is used, it takes the label off. So the idea behind this is you rub the primer on and the label that's stamped on there will disappear, and then you know the pipe has been primed. Choose a purple primer. Oh, look, the Home Depot. I put that in there as an ad. Maybe they'll send us some free primer. Okay, here we go. So if we look at this plumbing system here, is this PVC or is this CPVC?
Both.
It's both. So look right here. So you can see here I have primer, and CPVC is uses back east quite a bit. And then I have some PVC, and they've tried to prime these two together. The problem is the glue for these two is incompatible. So you have to use a transition glue if you're going to do this. So if we're inspecting, first of all, this fitting right here, what's wrong with this first fitting that I'm circling? What's it called? A sanitary tee. Sanitary tee. It can never rest on its back. It can only stand up. So let's move up here. Here's a sanitary tee. This is the only direction a sanitary tee can ever be installed. It must always be vertical. A sanitary tee cannot lay on its back. It's so lazy. Look at it, just sort of laying there. It's very lazy. And then over here, so that's CPVC. And then over here, it's laying on its back again. So that's incorrect. Then right here, it is correct. Sanitary tee is correct. So right here, I have a pipe hooked up, and they use duct tape because that's the best. Is that a cross connection where I'm probably hooking the drain to the dishwasher? Excuse me, the drain to the dishwasher directly to the sewer pipe where I have a P-trap and another outlet, looks like a clean out of some sort, or they were trying to use every fitting they had. I can't have say no, there's no air gap. I got to have an air gap, everybody. And the minimum air gap is 1 inch, or at least the dimension of the diameter of the pipe. Okay, so right above it here, again, I have a pipe coming down with a trap. It has a clean out in the bottom of the trap, and I come over. So this is probably the vent going up. Okay, I don't need a sewer vent for every fixture, but the rule is I have to have a vent within 7 feet minimum of the fixture. Okay, so generally we can't go more than 7 feet away from the fixture. So that would be an island sink. So if I had an island sink, I've got to have a Chicago loop or an air admittance valve. Okay, does anybody have any questions?
Now, would that be considered an S drain?
Yes. Yeah, which one? This one over here?
Yeah.
No.
Okay, this is an S drain right here.
That one over there?
Okay,
Yeah, that one.
yeah, that's an S
The
drain
white one?
there. Bad. This one here has no vent anywhere except, okay, here's the vent here coming up. So this is within 7 feet, so we're okay here. The problem is none of these fittings are correct because the way water flows, these drains, I need to have a combo or a Y fitting for proper drainage. And we'll look at some in a minute. So I got a lot of fittings here wrong, everybody. So here's an 1/8 bend or a 1/4 bend, depending on how you want to look at it. Wrong pipe, wrong fittings. There's just a pile of stuff here. Now, if I come down here, again, I can see here's water line. So I have sewer, drain waste, vent, and then I have water supply down here, and they've got a threaded fitting, and they put a galvanized nipple on here, and then threaded in copper, and then soldered in a piece of 3/8 copper. I mean, all that effort, they probably could have gone to the store, I suppose. But they're running these two 3/8 pipes up for water, and then I see a compression fitting behind it, and then a piece of copper here, and I don't know. There's not enough fittings. So would all of you say that we need a plumber to repair the plumbing system as existed to proper, safe condition? Or you want to just
Replace
monitor?
everything.
Do you want to
Everything.
monitor this for a while?
I have nothing to monitor. It's bad.
Yeah, thank you. I don't want to pick on people back east, but I was somewhere, starts with an O. Oh, I'm sorry, Ohio. And they say, oh, let's monitor this. I think they were making fun of me. Okay, so over here to the right, I have some extension cords, and I think extension cords under 25 feet are okay. Is that okay, Harris? Or
Well, it depends on what you're feeding, what you're using it for.
yeah, he bit right into that. Everybody, he likes extension cords. Okay, so so right here I have something plugged in with a fuse here, and so this receptacle is fused. Then this one up here has two, and then here's a box with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wires going into it. So that's a 2x4 handy box. Do you think 5? It's overfilled?
Too small. The box is too small.
Yeah, it's overfilled. So typically 3 Romex wires into it's enough.
Yeah, well, basically, a standard 4-inch square metal box is 1900 cubic inches. And each wire, you're allowed to put 10 wires in that box. And that you have 10 wires in that little tiny box, half the size of that. So it's, yes, the wrong size. It's overcrowded.
Okay, now that he's done talking, everybody, he's saying it's bad, right, Harris?
It's bad.
Thank you. Okay. So the way it is, it's 9 to 10 wires, and so do we count grounds as wires, Harris?
All of them together is one.
Thank you. So if I have
Together, wire.
okay, so Harris, if I have a 12-2 with ground here, that's only 2 wires, right?
12 to, yeah.
Okay, so
Correct.
that's 2,
Yes.
4, 6, 8, 9, 10. So 4 of these coming in. Once I get to the 5th one, it's overfilled.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Anybody else want to keep this, or do you think this is we'll move on. Okay. For extra credit, okay, plastic pipe. Here's my clean out. That's a 4-inch clean out. Now, what's below this area right here? Here I have a check valve or a one-way valve. I have a cord, and looks like I have a trailer type. It's not a trailer, but either way, it's a mechanical AR valve. Can I use mechanical valves, air admittance valves, on any housing ever?
No.
The answer is no. So, but I can use it on pre-manufactured housing covered under HUD, but I can't use it for anything that's residential. So for our inspection here, the plastic's painted to protect it. If it's PVC, if it's ABS, there's still a requirement. So here they have this check valve above ground. Why? I don't have a clue. But underneath here, there must be a tank. And then I have a receptacle. Say what, Harris?
You have a sump pump in the tank.
Okay. So is underneath this cover, am I required to have a GFCI?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, you are.
Okay. I can't believe it. That was all you're going to say. Okay. So the sewer clean out, the requirement is that it has to be a 2-way clean out or multi-directional clean out. And some of the new codes say you can't use a multi-directional clean out, the one where you drop it down and then hope it goes right or left. They want to see a set of like a bull, we'll call them bull horns. And I looked this up, and there is no code that says specifically bull horns. It just says you can use a directional clean out. It's one of the new modifications in the plumbing code. So this has a cactus here, so I thought I'll let you know it's in Arizona. Okay, here we go. We're underneath the sink, and I have a combination of PVC and ABS. I have a compression
And you
fitting.
have a
Go ahead, Harris.
double trap also.
I have a double trap, so already it's wrong. Does the plumbing requirement state that 1 trap per fixture?
Yes.
Yes.
One trap per fixture. Okay. Right here, I have an air gap. This thing loops way up here and ties in below this trap. Either way, I don't know if the weir right here where it drains and this are even with each other, but typically this connection for the dishwasher has to be high enough so that it can't siphon this little baby out here. So right now, our biggest issue here is 2 P-traps. See anything else that's you're going to write up?
Leakage,
Yeah, leakage in the back here, black staining,
tailpipe leakage.
Yeah, right here, tailpiece is leaking at this fitting to the basket. So the slip knot ring, I like to use these words because I know vocabulary, but either way, there it is. Anything else on this one? Okay, this valve back here, the new code says that I can't use one valve to shut off hot water for the sink and the dishwasher. See it right here? It's one shut off. These were all the rage at one time. It says that each fixture shall have its own shut off. So this angle stop valve is wrong. It's compression. There's the nut. Therefore, this must be copper coming up versus plastic. We have multi-braided water lines in the back here with compression fittings. The odds of those leaking are much less. Anything else? It's sort of a mess. So seeing this pipe coming up here, I think this has probably got an air admittance valve up underneath the sink because I see this as, so they took an S valve that was buried in the floor and made it workable with an air admittance valve. Okay, here's a close-up of your braided line, your angle stop valve. You can see here the handle's cracked. Does anybody operate these during your inspection at all, ever? I don't see your heads moving. Maybe you're asleep.
No.
The answer is no. And then I can't see the threads back here, whether this is screwed on, but here's your escutcheon plate, which we talked about earlier. We're looking down here for leakage. I don't see any. If I think it's leaking, I'll take a piece of toilet paper, lay it on the floor, and wait and see if it's wet when I'm flushing and running lines. Okay, now here's a picture from the side, and I always like to get it so I can see what's here. I see a compression nut here, so this most likely is a piece of copper coming out. The new thing the builders are doing, they're running the PEX right out of the wall. The manufacturers say if you're doing that this fitting here has to have an insert inside the PEX when you tighten it down. So on new construction, there has to be an insert inside the PEX because you're crushing it with the valves. Okay, this is a type of AquaPEX, and we're going to talk about the different kinds of fittings. Now, this is in an attic, and I can see the insulations below it. Would anyone write this up and say that the pipe itself is not insulated for winter usage?
Yes.
Okay, so shouldn't the pipe be insulated or below the insulation like it would be in any normal house? Yes. So here they've run different pipes, and you can see they've made like sort of their own little manifold, but look at the size of this pipe coming in. So this must be my main, and then each time I tee off, I try not to run any other pipe. So the problem we have here is they put a T in to 1/2 inch, and then they 1/2 inch that off again and took 1/2 inch off this way. So immediately they're going to have a pressure drop. Here it's 3/4 to 1/2 inch, 3/4 to 1/2, 3/4 to 1/2. So each one of these runs is okay, but this one here is going to be an issue because they ran 1/2 to 1/2 to 1/2, and your volume of water is going to be affected. So that's why you do a 2-fixture check on this. The side of the pipe here is stamped. It'll tell you the date, so you can take a close-up picture, tell you the date and manufacturer location of the pipe. Okay, so this is...
And one more thing before you run out.
Sure.
You see that piece of insulation that's sitting on top of the
Right here?
OSB?
Right here?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it belongs on top of the sheetrock.
Oh, down here. Yeah. Yeah, it belongs
That
right
means
here.
you have no insulation at that point
Yeah, I think this
in the
is
house.
I think this is a replumb, everybody.
Well,
Yeah. So here's OSB, and here's your rafters. So this is weird. So this house is a complete framed. There's no engineered planking, and it's OSB. So this house probably was replumbed because it had poly. I just don't see any right here. Okay. And here you can see all the fittings where they were making a mess. So this is the one where you do the inspection and it says house recently replumbed. Okay. Okay. This house has been replumbed also. The problem is it was only partially replumbed. So here's your PAX in the back with a compression type fitting. And then here's your polybutylene with the rings and the polybutylene product. So does anyone write this up for replacement or just monitor?
Replace.
Okay. So, we put a long description in here and say this pipe is known to fail. That's probably why the other's been replumbed. One of the things we're seeing here is that I have to have a shutoff of some sort that's metallic. So if you look at this handle here and this valve in the back, plastic shutoff valves are not to be used in a pressurized system prior to the water heater. Okay. Then down here is my pressure relief valve. And every time I put a 90 in, I have a reduction in flow. And the manufacturer says in this yellow tag in the back, I can't have more than 4 90s in a run of 30 feet. No more than 4 90s in a run of 30 feet. Okay, but I can run 45s. 45s count as straight pipe. I didn't make it up. It's just what the plumbers say. It's like the electrician's telling me that an LB means elbow. Yes,
Yep.
shaking his head. Okay. Okay. Now, this is really weird. This product here is poly. It's a braided line, but inside of it is plastic. So I had to take this label and look up the manufacturer, and the manufacturer says, well, it's designed to be here, but I need 6 inches of clearance to all single wall pipe. So I wrote it up anyway because double wall pipe only needs 1 inch and it's plastic. So there used to be this 18-inch rule to all plastic that I had to have 18 inches of metal pipe off the top to get around this issue right here. So we got some problems here. So here's my nut. Here on this thing, I took this off and read it. It didn't say you can't use it. It just says it can't be installed inside walls. So over here, I've got a galvanized fitting. I've got a galvanized fitting with some sort of fitting coming off the back. Well, I'm sorry, that's cold water. So here's cold water coming in, and here's a valve to shut it off. Okay, and then for some reason they tied in cold here, and the cold comes in and it comes out as hot. So red means hot, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Usually.
yeah. So we think it's correct. So what's wrong with the gas flue pipe here coming off the top of the water heater? What's the requirement for that? Does it have to vent upward 12 inches?
1 foot.
Yeah,
Off
it's
the
1
drop
foot.
zone.
Yeah, so this flue pipe must vent up 1 foot so that we're not backdrafting this area, and they can do it. See, this is all single wall. So I need 6 inches of clearance. So the rule here is I need 12 inches up and then a 45, and then I can make it work. It's 12 inches, everybody. Who says that? It's on the front of the water heater. You can read it. You can read it on the water heater, take a picture and go, wow, I'm glad I'm so smart. I took a picture and I put it on my report. Okay. This device here, extra credit for somebody who can tell me what it is. The black thing there. I was hoping one of you would tell me what it is so I could just say it. But either way,
The black cap,
the black thing right here, this thing here,
a black cap.
what's it do?
Anybody?
The vacuum brake.
Yeah, okay. So there it is.
The vacuum brake.
Uh-huh.
The vacuum brake.
Yeah, sort of a vacuum brake. Okay, so you take a look here. This is PEX. This is called Vanguard. So we have different PEX pipes made by different manufacturers. Metal valve. It's white handle, meaning no lead. So the new requirement is if the handle is a different color, like they were red and blue, the white handle tells me it's lead-free brass, which is the requirement now. But this type of connector here, we'll talk about the connectors, is another type of mechanical connector with a barbed fitting. The problem is if you don't have the correct fittings, these will leak. So this is brass. So one of the things that's happening with these brass PEX fittings is they're failing. So now they're not selling them and they're selling you plastic. And then the problem with the plastic is it's getting brittle. So, you know, you're damned if you do. I'd rather have these just leak a little bit than have the plastic ones fall apart. But again, this is PEX with a compression type fitting and a barbed insert that fits inside the PEX. Okay, here we're looking at I'm not sure what we're looking at, but it's a piece of PEX with a compression ring and a piece of polybutylene hooked together, okay, going down into something. I'm not sure what this mess is. And then I can see something over here. But either way, they tried to fix it by putting a newer piece of pipe on this fitting, and you can see where the water's been sitting. It's calcified and leaking out slowly. So that's all that calcification right there. You can hit plus and minus on your screen and make it bigger so you can really see this thing, okay? So they didn't replumb the building as they said. So in case they give you the SPUDS, the property disclosure statement. Okay, here we see plastic laid down as a vapor barrier. Here I see my PVC plumbing that you're going to have in some parts of the country. I want to know what's wrong with this fitting right here being used as a drain line for the toilet upstairs, dropping straight down into this pipe, which is your, I have a
Your weir's not going the right direction. That's a combo.
Yeah, this is called a two-way clean out. And this is to be used in the main line, but not as a sewer drop. So I need a Y here or a combo, like he said. So right here is my transition fitting where they're using a rubber fitting called a Fernco fitting. Again, you can zoom in and it probably goes to cast iron because I see it here. That fitting is not allowed to be used in free air. It must be a mission type banded outside the rubber. Okay, so anytime I transition from cast iron to plastic of any type, I have to have a metal band, not the 1-inch band you see holding it together. It has to be banded, called a mission coupling. That's a brand. And it has to have metal all the way around the rubber on the outside so it can't bulge out from pressure. So this fitting's wrong. Right here I'm circling. Here I have a 90 or a long sweep. Here's a Y. We're sort of okay there. I come up. It looks like I have a sanitary T. It's hard to see from this location. And I can see some blue glue, but I don't see primer on any of this stuff. Then over here, I see tons of primer, but I'm not going to crawl over there because I don't want to get dirty. And then here's some piping and it's insulated. So if you look right here is galvanized pipe. So are you going to write up galvanized pipe as long-term effects on failure? Yeah, so you're going to make a statement about the failure of that. So we know if there's a water issue in this space, we look back, there's a white stain. I can see it on the foundation. It's a block foundation. I can look and see my floor joists here, and I can't tell what the decking is. Now, I don't see a vapor barrier here, and the insulation's off the floor. Where should the vapor barrier be? Against the floor or facing down into the crawl space?
Against the floor.
The vapor barrier has to be against the heated space, everyone.
Conditioned space.
Yeah, heated conditioned space. Okay. Okay. These type of fittings, shark bites or compression push fittings. I don't want to use the word shark bite. That's a brand. These are actually in the code. It's pretty incredible. But they've used a couple different kinds of pipe here. This is PEX called Vanguard, and it's different types of plastic pipe. And this diameter is the same as copper. The outside OD is the same as copper. And these fittings originally were not approved to be hidden anywhere. Hidden. What's that mean? Hidden inside walls. But we're seeing these things everywhere now. So I write them up until someone can prove they're okay. And then here on the pipe, you take a picture of this pipe and it'll show you what type it is. So right here, if you look real close, you can see that's the PEX fitting that normally would be slid up here to the top, and it would be around the pipe, and you would expand it and put it on a barbed fitting to make it fit. These are made with a ring on them, so they can't do that. So somebody took a knife and cut it off. They're made so when you put them on the end of the pipe, they can't slide all the way down. That's why some of you say, hey, this fitting won't fit on here. we'll turn it around, and it will, and then it sits flat to the end of the pipe. But everyone's taking a knife and going, oh, look at this, it's a defect. Okay. Okay, applications. PEX piping can be used in a wide variety of applications. This design guide is focused on design, installation of PEX, hot, cold water. That's what this is from. It's from the PEX Institute, PPI. Fire suppression, water supply, radiant floor. The problem is there's different colors of pipe that have been used. There's green, there's blue, poly blue, and we've had lots of different failures of the different pipe depending on what they're doing. But the pipe is available from 1/4 inch to 4 inches. So the stuff that's 4 inches is not very flexible. So PEX pipe can be installed in place of rigid piping on a size for size basis. The beautiful thing about this product, it can take a freeze, but the part I don't like is I can't put a welder on it and defrost it when it freezes up like the old galvanized pipe was. That was the best. Some of you don't know what I'm talking about, but Roger knows. You just hooked up your welder or a battery and it defrosted that baby out in a couple of minutes. Okay, I just put this picture in here for color. There it is, just showing the piping, some plumber put it in. Okay, temperature and pressure capabilities. So this is, they did some pressure testing. In the event of a water heating system malfunction, PEX systems are designed to accommodate short-term conditions of 4 to 8 hours at 210 Fahrenheit and 150 PSI until repairs can be made to the water heating system. Well, wait a minute. That's the same rating as the temperature and pressure relief valve that we're talking about, the TMP. So PEX is designed to last for 48 hours under those pressure requirements. Wow, that's cool. The most commonly used temperature pressure relief valve activates and opens at either of these temperatures and pressure. All PEX systems have been tested to withstand the TMP activation for 30 days. What? So they tested it for 30 days, even though it was approved for 48. These engineers, they're wacky. To ensure that safety requirements are met. As such, PEX systems do not require the use of a special TMP valve. Why do we have water heaters with that valve on them and they plumb the whole house? So that means the water system has to withstand the temperature of the valve opening up. So that's exactly, they're proving our point here. Okay. Ultraviolet resistance. This is one of the things we talked about. Indirect, diffused, reflected sunlight will also emit UV energy. So if you have a gable end of a roof and you can see the sun shining through, that amount of UV energy will destroy the PEX. This is the same thing that was happening with PVC coatings on the outside of ductwork, the flexible ductwork in attics. Most of that stuff's falling apart. So this is a problem. So you need to insulate it or cover it. Each PEX pipe manufacturer publishes a maximum recommended UV exposure time limit, and their time limit is 0. They're telling you to get out of the sun. Either way, Central Arizona, look at that. Central Arizona is used as the basis for the exposure time limit. I didn't put that in there, everybody. That's in the Plastic Pipe Manufacturers Association's guidelines. They must really, really love us here. North America location for UV energy. Okay, and then they're using the ASTM. I don't care what that says, but if you're an engineer or you're an architect, you're all excited about ASTM rules. Okay, code requirements. Here we go. So P for plumbing, general. PEX tubing shall be supported at distances not to exceed those indicated in table, blah, blah, blah for PEX. Maximum horizontal support spacing is 32 inches. What? Huh. Either way, 32 inches. So if my framing is at 24, I'm still fine, right? I'm still fine. And maximum vertical support spacing is 10 feet. What? Okay, so they're allowing you to get from behind the sink up into the ceiling without supporting it. But if you don't secure the piping to the walls, you tend to get water hammer. Water hammer. Okay, so mid-story guide for sizes 2 inches and smaller. Piping shall supported to ensure alignment and prevent sagging, allow for movement associated with expansion and contraction of PEX tubing. It's telling me right here, it expands and contracts, but they're not telling you how much. Okay, so what plumbers used to do, they used to put the PEX piping together. So if you look, sometimes you wonder, why is it serpentine? Why is it stapled to the side of a piece of wood in a winding type of pattern. Well, when they put it tight together, the fittings would tend to pull apart, and they'd have some leaks. So now they leave some serpentine in it. Okay. Okay, minimum size. The maximum developed length of individual distribution lines shall be 60 feet with 40 psi minimum at a water meter in order to utilize 3/8 tubing for individual distribution lines. Okay, they're calling it 3/8, but it's really 1/2 inch, everybody. The minimum size is 1/2 inch. They're talking about the ID, inside diameter. Fixtures shall be supplied with tubing size specified by the manufacturer. Well, again, that's 1/2 inch, but it's 3/8 ID. It's called 1/2 inch. If water heater is fed from the end of a cold water manifold, the manifold shall be sized one size larger than the water heater feed. What? If the water heater is fed from the end of a cold water manifold, in other words, it's the end of the manifold, so all the other water is getting sent somewhere else, the manifold shall be sized one size larger than the water feed. So that would be 1 inch. Those plumbers are so tricky. Orientation. Okay, I put this one in here because I didn't realize it was a code requirement, everybody. So if you see a manifold, it's permitted to be installed horizontal or vertical. Okay, those mana blocks and those other things. So if they're going to make a manifold, in other words, cut it and put all those fittings, it can be installed horizontal or vertical. They don't care. Okay, support and protection. Plastic piping bundles can be secured in accordance with the manufacturer's installation and supported section P2605. 45 degrees shall be protected from chafing at the point of contact with the framing members by sleeving or wrapping. So when I come out, I need 45 degrees, not 90. See, 45 degrees. 45 degrees is not 90. So when they come out the top of framing, that has to come out with a long sweep. That's what the requirement is. So, but it should be under the insulation. Okay, plastic piping or tubing to other pipes. In other words, when I'm going to join them, it's actually covered in the code because some of these plumbers are going, well, I'm not going to do it. Well, now you have to. It's right there. Joints between different types of plastic pipe or between plastic pipe and other piping shall be made with an approved adapter fitting. What? That's right, with an approved adapter fitting. It says it right there. The manufacturer also says it. So when I transition from one product to another, I have to have the adapter that is approved for that connection. Harris is an electrician, so he just goes nuts. His head's exploding when he sees this type of stuff because he goes, oh, those plumbers, man. Okay, 6013. Existing pipe used for grounding. Harris, you're on deck, baby. Read this here. Tell us what it means.
Well, what we're talking about is metallic pipes, metal pipes, have to be grounded. Plastic pipes do not have to be grounded because they don't conduct electricity through the outer coating. And water itself doesn't conduct electricity, but the minerals inside the water conduct electricity.
Okay, stop. So my next question, Harris, I know you're going to continue on here. My question is, I get to the house and they say they've replumbed it with PEX. What should I be finding outside near the electric service then, since the piping's been replaced?
Well, you're going to see, if they do it right, you're going to see ground rods.
Well, aren't they supposed to do it right?
They're supposed to do it right, yes.
Okay, and aren't we required, according to the SOPs, have to check for the grounding method?
Right, and typically, like I say, if you find a house that's stamped plastic pipes only, you're going to look for ground rods or UFA ground than a ground rod.
Okay, and so UFA we're not going to see, but the new buildings you're required to have a viewport to see the end of the UFA.
Right, you're going to see a 2-gang plate inside a garage, most likely, and when you take the cover off, you're going to see a piece of rebar sticking up and a ground wire hooked to it.
Okay, so right now,
UFA ground.
Correct. So right now, what we're talking about is that you show up in a house that's replumbed because they had polybutylene or galvanized pipe, and you're going to walk over to the electric service and you're going to find a nice shiny piece of copper and maybe some grounding rods in the ground. And if you don't, you're probably going to write that up, right, Harris?
You should. Yes, you should write it up because
No.
not be grounded.
I hear the word should. Are you writing it up or not?
Yes,
Thank you.
write it up.
Yeah, okay. He means should. If you want to, maybe you can do it. It's an electrician needs to come out there and develop a replacement for the grounding path that's gone. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Thank you. Oh man, I love it. Thank you. It's like dragon pulling teeth here. Thank you, Harris. Okay, 603.1, size of water service pipe. I didn't know this was in the code, everybody. I just almost fell over. I always thought it was 1 inch. It says it can't be less than 3/4. The water service pipe shall be sized to supply water to the structure in quantities and pressures required in this code. The water service pipe shall not be less than 3/4 inch in diameter. Cool. Okay. But that doesn't mean where you're at, they don't require it bigger, but they're just saying the minimum is 3/4 inch. So if you get there and they got 1/2 inch, guess what? You got it right here. You get to write it up. Woo! Awesome. Okay, interval support. Again, I don't understand. These plumbers are like driving me nuts. So here's another one about supporting piping. Piping shall support at a distance is not exceeding the spacing specified in the table. They want you to all go look somewhere else, but it still deals with the 32 inches and the 10 feet in a mid-story guide for vertical support. It's just another part of the code somewhere else. Okay, but if you don't support the pipe in that 10-foot run, it's going to rattle inside the walls and they're going to call you up anyway. Okay, recirculating hot water systems. I thought this was pretty cool. So circulating hot water systems shall be provided with an automatic or readily accessible manual switch that can turn off the hot water circulating pump when the system is not in use. Okay, I didn't realize that. It says it right in the code. Harris, does that mean I need a switch or can I just unplug it?
Yeah, well, unplugging it works because most of the timers.
No, Harris, I'm reading the word manual switch. Does that mean I need a switch or can I unplug it?
Well, a manual switch. Well, a switch is a switch.
Yeah, I got it. Okay, thank you. Again, it says it right in the code. So eventually we're going to need to see a switch that shuts off the power for that instead of unplugging it. If it's going to
or an automatic timer.
Yes.
Or an automatic timer. Circulating pumps come with timers built in.
Yeah, it says with an automatic, readily accessible manual or a readily accessible. So automatic means the timer shuts it off. So we don't have to have a switch, everybody. So it's giving you that option. Very good, Harris. Thank you. Protection of piping. Okay, I don't know why they made this 312.0 and then they said 312.9 because they want to use up numbers. Steel nail plates. PEX piping penetrating framing members to within 1 inch of the exposed framing shall be protected by a steel nail plates not less than 18 gauge in thickness. Okay. What's the rule for wiring protection, Harris?
1.5 inches.
Huh, weird. They must think we're using shorter nails for this plumbing or something, everybody. So yeah. It's 1.5 inches for electrical because the nails they're using are 1.25 inches. And if you drive them in, they're going to hit it. So here they're telling you to put these plates in, but I'm telling you, if they don't drill the pipe, drill the center of the framing out, you're going to hit it with a nail. Okay, plastic materials. Okay, this talks about the non-metallic. Where a grounding system acceptable to the authority having jurisdiction is installed, inspected, and approved, metallic pipes will be permitted to be replaced with PEX pipe. Plastic materials for building supply piping outside underground shall have a blue insulated copper tracer wire or other approved conductor. Well, it's blue, everybody. So if they say we had the house replumbed and we put a new water main in, what do you expect to find by the handle by the shutoff outside? A blue
wire.
Tracer wire. If they said they replaced the main and they got a permit, which they're supposed to, I need to see a blue tracer wire. What color is electric, Harris?
Yellow. Well, no, gas is yellow. Okay. Now for grounds for electric, it's green.
Yeah.
Or gray.
Yeah. Okay. So we can use a green wire for that because that's our tracer wire for that. Okay, so we take a look here, and access shall be provided to the tracer wire. So they hook a tone generator to the end of that, everybody, and then when they're trying to locate it, it'll set up a tone, and I'm not sure what it is, 512 or 488 or something. frequency, and then they can find it with a tracer and locate the pipe. Okay. Okay, water heater connectors. PEX shall not be installed within the first 18 inches of piping connected to a water heater. Now, that's pretty cool, but they've changed this multiple times back and forth, the 18-inch rule. So here's the 2021 UPC. We're not in that right now, everybody, so you can just, hang it up. But I gave you this, so you copy and paste this. This is ePublications. It's free. This is pretty cool. But, it takes forever to go through this thing. It's not searchable because they don't want to make it easy for you. But the codes are in there, and they have a watermark over some of it, so it's hidden. This rule about the 18 inches has been in the code for years. And then some plumber said, the plastic people don't care. I have to have 1 inch of clearance to double wall and 6 inches to single wall to anything that can burn. So your water heaters that are gas, I have an issue here. Okay. Okay, so most PEX manufacturers have their own mechanical fitting system. The method of connection should comply with the manufacturer recommendations and instructions. Fittings are regulated to comply with the performance. Okay. Cold expansion fittings with PEX reinforced rings. This type of fitting requires that the PEX piping with a reinforcing ring be placed over the end. It is expanded before the fitting is inserted to the pipe. Then the pipe is allowed to retract into the fitting to form a seal. The memory. This pipe is pretty cool, but you have to have this special gizmo to do it. The expander tool is required to expand the PEX ring together. And if it's not fit together, you're going to have to try to cut it. If you ever try to do that, it's like impossible. Okay, so the one on the left, this ring has a lip on it on this end. So this slides over and stops right there when this slides on, just like it did here. So there's no way it's not going to fit properly. So I see people cutting this ring off that's on here, and then this all, so the memory tool, it expands this and this together. You put them together, and then it slides over this barb, and it must sit right here where these little protectors are. If it's not there, the fitting's on wrong. Does everybody understand? So it's on wrong. So here's the plastic version. Here's the metal version, the brass fitting. And some manufacturers are being sued out of existence because the brass has these issues because it had too much zinc in it. In back east, everyone's going nuts over that because of the water issues. But this is the one I see the most of, besides, from the plumbers anyway. And then they have special compression type fittings. Anybody have any questions about these two? Okay. The cold expansion fittings with metal compression sleeves. This is the second most common one. There's different companies, Zerk fittings, blah, blah, blah. And it talks about the sleeve in the ASTM. So let's look what it is here. So this fitting slides up onto the pipe, and then you have a mechanical fitting tool that fits around this and crushes this thing on this. I just don't see these very often at all anymore because they're super duper expensive and crazy, crazy expensive. So we'll just skip that one. Okay, so the metal or plastic insert fittings. This is the most common in a crimp ring. Okay, barbed. Let's take a look at the picture here. Copper crimp ring. Okay, here it is. This is the most common. They sell these at some place called Lowe's. Lowe's and the Home Depot sell these. I have this tool, and they're so easy to use. I like this better in some ways because all the fittings can be put together and then you clamp them together while they're in place. The one we had earlier, you have to slide those all together one by one to make them work, where this, I can fit together this whole T and then clamp each one individually. And you look here, the problem is there's no seated location for them. And then you have a gauge that fits over it and tells you whether you've pressed it down enough. Okay, so you can buy this pipe in different colors. So red and blue and white. Okay.
And clear.
And clear. Yeah, it's sort of milkish white. Okay, so here we can see this plastic fitting. Again, it's just another brand. It has these little clips at the end and these rings. These rings vary from stainless steel to copper to, it's just a piece of pipe. And then over here, this one's weird. It has these little rubber O-rings. They're just praying that you put it on properly, it doesn't leak. But either way, the more stuff they add, the more reason you know it's going to leak like a sieve. Okay, so this one we saw earlier on a fitting, and I'm not sure which tool does this, but I see this every once in a while because it's a mechanical type of tool we have to use. Thus, the stainless steel ring is crimped using a ratcheting tool, which only releases once the proper crimp is achieved. So this one you can send anybody out who's breathing, and they take this ratchet tool and they keep ratcheting it up, and then it comes apart. I watched a movie the other day, and the lady on it was Nurse Ratchet. I never knew what that meant. It's One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest at some movie. I won't use that reference again until later. Okay, stainless steel press sleeve. This type of fitting is made of metal and uses a press sleeve or cap to secure it. Okay, we don't need to read all that. I don't see these at all. Anybody ever seen these? This is back east. Again, I'm just showing you all these different fittings. You have to have the special tool. The special tool requires you to be trained. The first two we saw are so easy to install. Okay, push type fittings. This is the most common thing we see now. This type of fitting uses an interlocking mechanism to connect the PEX pipe to the fitting. You can disconnect these if you have the disconnecting tool. It slides over the pipe and pushes the ring down, and you can take them apart. It's pretty cool. The pipe is inserted or pushed into the fitting and locked into place with a fastening device that keeps the pipe from being backed out or disconnected. They use some type of O-ring or gasket to form a seal around the PEX pipe. The support liner is inserted into the pipe in a fastening system with a locking component, such as a snap ring or twist collar, is used to ensure the connection remains permanent. Okay, so here it is. Here's the plastic version. I would never use these in my life because it's water, for God's sake. But over here, a little bit better. They make a ring, and that's so if you make a mistake, it fits around this fitting right here and pushes this outer ring apart, and you just pull the pipes apart. That's what's pretty cool about this stuff. Okay, so it pushes this ring back inside the fitting, and I can take it apart, but they're super expensive. I think they're $8 or $9. Okay, so the standard for these, the push fit fittings, up to 2 inches. Man, I don't know who'd be using that. That fitting must be $100. But this push fitting will work for KL or M copper. It'll work with CPVC tubing. PERT type fittings may be designed to be used with one or more types. So I keep one of these fittings with me in case I got a plastic pipe that's broken, because they'll work with almost anything. So I just want to let you know. Okay, so this is called an isometric. So if we're looking at plastic pipe and stuff like that, what I wanted to show you here, here's the main shutoff where it's coming in, and it comes, this is 1 inch. That's pretty standard, 1 inch. And then over here, we feed 1 fixture per half-inch pipe. 1 fixture per half-inch pipe. Okay, so we come in and everything's 3/4 then. See, 3/4, 3/4, 3/4. And then when we come down to the water closet, we go to 1/2 inch. 3/4, go to lavatory, go to 1/2 inch. So you never run 2 fixtures off any pipe that's smaller than 3/4, okay? So 3/4 throughout the building. Now, there's a story that if I use 1/2 inch pipe, the water has to flow faster because it's smaller, but there's no volume there. So that's one of the problems associated with that. Okay. Isometric. Okay. So this is called a ManaBlock. This is this manifold made out of what type of pipe and the pipe itself. So if you look, it's the type of pipe fitting here with the ring that's made out of copper, and it's a compression fitting. And you're going, well, wait a minute. That's the same stuff we saw earlier that's sold at Lowe's and the Home Depot. Okay. So there's a leak right here, and the problem with these manifolds, once they start leaking, there's no way to fix them, anybody. And then you try to find the part you need. So we just write these up as a high replacement item. Okay, so on these polybutylene fittings, there's no valve. It comes directly off of this device, directly to the sink, and makes a connection. Okay, here's my escutcheon plate in the back. Here's my slip knot washer, and here's my P-trap. Okay, there's your manifold. And again, this is polybutylene. So we just write this up for complete replacement due to the fact it's leaking up here. And every plumber that looks at it, I've only had one plumber say, "Ah, it's not a problem." Put it in writing. I'm gone. And then he has to write it up. Okay, this is a close-up fitting. What's this fitting called? Sanitary
T.
T. So you can see the fitting is draining this way, so it can't lay on its back. The idea is that if water's flowing this way, it flows down the pipe and on its merry way. So look inside is the beveled fitting. So you bevel the pipe that's fitting into this, and then you use your glue, your solvent weld. So this is called solvent weld. That's the type of glue you're using. Okay, and this is called ABS. Okay, this is a long sweep 90. So in plumbing, it has to have a sweep to it. If it doesn't have a sweep, it's the wrong type of fitting for water anyway, drainage, DWV. Okay, here's your combo. This combo can stand up, can lay on its side. This can stand up, this can lay on its back because the water swings down and slides on its merry way. So it's a very, so this could be a Y with a 90 on it, but they sell this fitting particularly for toilets. Okay, here are the four different kinds of pipe we looked at. So we got 1/2 inch copper, 3/4 inch CPVC, 3/4 inch PVC, and 3/4 inch copper. And if you look, you can see each pipe is weirdly different in size. It's sort of bizarre. They do that so you cannot connect them together without a special transition fitting. Okay, now, if you look at the CPVC and the PVC, you can see the thickness of the pipe. That's Schedule 40. If you read the outside of it, it would say Schedule 40. It's a certain millimeter of thickness. They sell something called Schedule 80, and it's gray in color. It's gray in color, Schedule 80. The copper, the 1/2 inch and the 3/4 inch, K, L, and M are the different sizes of that type of pipe. It's thickness, millimeters of thickness. And M is what we're going to see a lot of in housing. It's sort of weird. But, okay, any questions about the type of piping? So of all these pipes here, the only one that needs primer is this white PVC, and it can be used. All the other pipes can be used for hot or cold. PVC can never be used for anything but cold water, and it can't be exposed to physical damage, and it can't be exposed to UV sunlight. Okay, so there it is without the pictures. Cool. Okay, so here we have new construction. Do you guys see any PVC sewer pipe at all anywhere in this area? No. Back east, this is everywhere. So when I show them our black ABS, they go nuts. Oh, who would put that stuff in? Well, again, the difference is this product is not very good where we have sunlight, but it handles a freeze pretty decently. So here's my drain, and then this pipe here is my sewer vent. I'm not sure why it's hooked up this way, but here it is. So maybe there's a loop here. I think there might be a loop here. Maybe this is an island. Yeah, okay. This has probably got a loop. I just didn't get the picture into it. And then here's my water coming up out of the floor. Yeah, that's what this is. This is a pony wall for the kitchen sink. And they put a pipe on the end of it because they have to do a pressure test. And they used to do a 10 column feet of pressure by filling up a pipe and capping these all off. And my understanding is they've changed that. There's some building site. They said it's only 5 feet now, probably because they don't need a ladder. Okay. So if I take a look here, here's our washer box. So some of you are knocking this ring off and you're looking inside to see what type of pipe is hooked to the faucets. And you look down and you can see it's copper here. Well, it may not be, but in this case, this house seems to have copper sticking out of all the fittings on this new house. Here's my nail plate. Here's my P-trap, and then here's this pipe right here. This pipe drop can't be more than 24 inches from this drain to the P-trap. This pipe drop can't be more than 24 inches. So if you measure this, this is usually at 18 inches. This is 24 up to here, and then this drain here has to be higher than the flood rim of the washer, so we can't siphon water out of the drain. So that means this drain here is usually set at 37 to 38 inches off the floor. So now you can measure that whenever you're doing that. Okay. This fitting is used as a sewer clean out tee only. Sewer clean out tee only. So we're going to see this, sticking out of the wall here. Okay. Any questions? I went through that pretty fast because it's a late night, and I know some of you probably need to get to bed for your beauty sleep. Does anybody have any questions about inspecting for plastic pipe and PEX? Okay, we're going to have a class in Phoenix on the 30th October. We've got a building official coming, and the questions about water heaters and the clearances, he's going to come with all the code compliance issues for that. We're going to make up a sheet for you to copy off of the website, Arizona ASHE website, so you have that for your use. The class next Tuesday is going to be on inspecting, on-demand water heaters. That'll be pretty interesting since it's a very common item. Any questions about inspecting plastic piping, sewer pipe, water lines,
Nope.
PEX? Everyone's an expert? Okay. So we'll send your CEs to you, and I appreciate you showing up tonight. Thank you, everybody.
Don't forget the the general membership meeting on Thursday.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. The general meeting is Thursday, and it's at 6 p.m. 6 p.m.?
Yes.
Yes, it's at 6 p.m. And we're having a meeting, and Rogers is the president, in case anyone didn't know. And David up there at the top in the middle, he's your South Education Director. He's going to be putting together an inspect a house either later this year or after January, some on-site stuff. So we appreciate that. Okay, thanks, everybody. Thank you, Roger, and we'll see all of you on Thursday who want to come at 6. Have a great evening. Bye.
Bye.
All right.